Hello, my name is Alexandra Carade, and I'm a member of Spark Learning Lab's Early Childhood Business Coaching Team. In this video today, we'll be discussing building cash flow. We'll talk about what is cash flow and why is it important? What financial information do you need to build cash flow? And how do you get started? The cash flow forecast is one of the best tools you can have for understanding how healthy your organization is in the short term. Predicting cash flow is not about budgeting. It's about understanding how much money you are taking in minus how much money is going out. When you begin a cash flow forecast, you will start to learn how much you are making over time, if you will have enough cash to pay yourself and to pay your bills, and how much money you're really making. The challenge with cash flow is that you can have a lot of money that is owed to you, but if you don't have money on hand to pay the bills, then your business can find itself in financial trouble. Knowing how much cash you have in the near term becomes a way of not only knowing what's coming in and going out, but also gives you a heads up about upcoming challenges with having enough cash available. The cash flow exercise we'll discuss today will guide you through the process of making an important cash flow prediction for your business. We use 6 months as a general guideline for how long to build your cash flow forecast for. We purposely choose the 6-month time frame because it's a nice snapshot that allows you to make decisions a few months away, but not so far away that many things could change. Once you get the hang of this exercise, you might want to make it one of your weekly business habits. The 5 steps to build cash flow include gathering documentation, picking a time frame and scenarios, listing income, listing expenses, and reviewing trends. Let's dive into these 5 easy steps. First, when you gather documentation, pull 2 to 4 months of documents that show your income and expenses. Documents that can give you the information you need include bank statements, credit card statements, Venmo transactions, utility bills, and any other records of ways that you receive or spend money. Try to use actual amounts when possible for greater accuracy. If you don't have actual amounts for everything, it's okay to use an average. For example, you might need to use your average electric bill because you don't know exactly how much electricity you'll use over the next few months. The second step is to pick a time frame and scenarios. Try to choose a time frame that's long enough to allow you to make decisions past 1 or 2 months, but short enough in case challenges or changes happen down the road. We think 6 months is a good time frame, but adjust as needed and choose what works for you. Don't use more than 1 year. You should also consider scenario planning, which can help your organization, especially in times of great uncertainty. Through scenario planning, you can articulate changes that may happen over time, so you can see and plan for their potential impacts. Though you can use any number of scenarios, typically it is good to develop 3. Your best case scenario, when revenue and expenses shift to ease the stress on your business. The base case scenario, which is usually the status quo if the future were to play out as you currently expect it to happen. And thirdly, the worst case scenario, where revenue and expenses will trend in ways that could happen and would result in a more difficult position for your business. To build the scenarios, identify the most significant factors and how they may trend in each scenario. Make sure you consider factors that are on the revenue and expense side. Try to keep it to just the most important factors, the 3 to 5 most likely to change in the future, which could have the most significant impact on your organization. For example, a potential increase in your healthcare costs by 50% would be a likely factor for your worst case scenario, whereas a 1% increase in office supplies would likely not be included. Make sure you include a list of the factors. Writing them all down will help you understand and see your assumptions. If you can, articulate the cost impact in actual dollars, such as what happens if you get that $10,000 grant, or a percentage, such as a 10% increase to the cost of supplies. The table pictured in this slide is an example of how you can capture your assumptions in each scenario. As you run through all of your steps that you have listed out, do one set of tables for each scenario so that you can see the impacts. Your third step is to list income. Categorize the money that comes in each month. Be sure to always include an other category. So for instance, an example of your income categories could include subsidies, fees, grants, Paycheck Protection Program, and other. As you can see in this slide, this is an example of how you could set up a table with revenue categories in one column, each of your monthly revenue sources in their own separate columns, and then a total column. You add up all of those figures. Step 4, list expenses. Categorize money that goes out each month. Again, be sure to list an other category. Expense categories could include personnel, taxes, rent, utilities, vehicle expenses, phone, food and snacks, personal protective equipment, cleaning materials, loan payments, bank fees, and your other category for miscellaneous expenses that don't fit elsewhere. Again, you see on your screen here a table as an example of how you can list out your sources of expenses with all of your expenses, the names of each of your expenses in one column, other columns each representing 1 month, and then a total column at the end where you can add up all of your monthly expenses for each row. Lastly, you need to review the trends. Your total cash flow over the next 6 months will be the total amounts of revenue minus the total amounts of expenses. You can use these tables we were looking at to help you make those calculations. You can also see the cash flow for each month by subtracting your total expenses from your total revenue for each month. Looking at cash flow month by month can be helpful. Some months your revenue might be less than expenses, but other months it might be more. This tells you when you need to save money from one month to the next. In this slide, you see an example of total revenue minus total expenses equals total cash flow, and this is depicted in a table format. Now that you've performed your cash flow projection, you can ask yourself a series of questions for each scenario to understand any trends that appear. For instance, are you profitable? Are there months that are feast or famine? Which month or months have the highest profit? Which month or months have the lowest profit? Which categories are your highest expenses and which categories are your lowest expenses? Which categories are your highest revenue and which categories are your lowest revenue? Now, if you've completed your analysis and you find that you need to cut some expenses in order to increase revenue, there are some ways to do this. First, you could increase enrollment. This can be the most cost-effective way to build revenue. Start by asking your current families if they know of other families in need of care who they could refer to you. Also, reach out to the CCR&R and other providers to find out if there are families who need care. You could consider weekly versus monthly billing. If you currently charge $1,000 a month, most people assume that works out to $250 per week. But some months have 5 weeks, and that translates to an additional $1,000 per year per student. This method can be an effective way to increase cash on hand if you have families who consistently pay on time. If you have families who often miss payments, this can be difficult because it may mean chasing down money. It can also mean more trips to the bank and more data entry on your end. Other ways to improve cash flow include speeding your billing collections. You should bill as soon as possible, and don't let money owed to you wait. It may be a difficult conversation with families, but the cash is critical to keeping your business and the service they rely upon alive. Consider childcare management systems, which can help speed billing while also cutting other costs, or consider using Venmo or similar apps for fast payment. You could find the best prices for toys, materials, and equipment. Buying used toys can save you significant amounts of money, And you can use sites that will give you access to high quality, pre-loved items. Check out your local Facebook selling groups. Goodwill and the Salvation Army often have toys available. Try visiting these stores early in the week after items have been dropped off over the weekend. Also, look for ways to get discounts through large purchase programs. Look for reoccurring subscriptions that you can cut. Take a look at the different services and online memberships that you have. Often they accumulate over time, and we don't realize how many we actually have or the impact that they have on monthly cash flow. Determine which subscriptions you need and which you can live without. Look for grants and other opportunities from your local child care resource and referral agency. This is a great way to connect with resources, grants, and opportunities for additional funding. Your CCR&R will often offer one-on-one help and expertise if you have questions and concerns about your business. If you're looking to improve your cash flow, you can consider federal programs. A new stimulus package is still emerging. In the meantime, programs like Families First Leave can provide you with payments for staff who are at home caring for themselves or family members with COVID, or for children who are not in care or school. It can be done intermittently. You can have a person who uses it 5 days a week or even just 1 day a week. The Employee Retention Tax Credit is open to small businesses that did not receive a Paycheck Protection Program loan. The ERTC provides up to $5,000 for each employee you kept employed through the pandemic. The Main Street Lending Program can provide very low interest loans for for-profits and nonprofits with at least 10 employees. Defer or reduce payments for rent, utilities, and mortgage. Many landlords, banks, and utility companies are allowing you to hold off on making payments, or you can make partial payments. The money is still owed, but can provide vital cash to keep you going. Also, consider renegotiating your lease or moving to a new space, even hiring a broker to do so. Automation. Look for ways to stretch your time and your staff's time through apps and other programs. A childcare management system can help with billing, attendance, and other functions. Online systems like Gusto and FreshBooks can help you with payroll and bookkeeping. Even a free program like Google Docs can be used to collect attestations and other forms online. And last, if you're looking to improve your cash flow, it is never an easy decision, but you could reduce staff quickly to conserve cash. Keep in mind that you should ensure reductions will neither impact state and federal requirements nor impact overall quality and safety. If you would like any assistance with forecasting your cash flow or other related business coaching topics, you can view resources at indianaspark.com/training-calendar. One-on-one business coaching is also available at no cost to you, and you can register on the indianaspark.com website. Thank you for learning about cash flow forecasting with me today, and I wish you the best of luck as you use this new financial technique.